Welcome to the AFR Saints channel, where we provide you daily content on your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to leave your comments below and smash that like button. Who dat? Jameis's injury, how big of a deal?
Well, obviously it's a deal. I mean, he wins a job. He's a starting quarterback. So you're planning on going with him through at least this season. And yet, Jameis has looked good. Jameis has looked bad at sometimes. He's kind of just been Jameis. And so how comfortable are you going forward with him after this year? Like, my biggest thing is the big picture in the sense that who is going to be the quarterback after this year? Because, as you and me have talked about ad nauseum, this is a one-year experiment. Because Jameis is under a one-year contract, Taysom Hill is under a one-year contract, even the savior Trevor Siemian is under a one-year contract. The only quarterback under contract after this year on the roster is Ian Book. So how much of a resume has Jameis given the Saints to say, hey, let's move forward with him? For me, not enough.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering where they go after this year. Because, look, this year they're going to be riding with either Taysom Hill and Trevor Siemian maybe, and that's not going to get you to a point where, all right, hey, we're going to win a Super Bowl. If they do, great, but still, I think you have to be realistic and look to the future and just kind of ride out what happens this year.
Okay. So we'll get to the future in a minute as well. Let's talk about this year. Are you buying that Sean Payton is content with Siemian, Hill, Book in whatever order? Or are options like Cam Newton, Phillip Rivers, or any of those on the table, or might they be on the table?
I think he's going to stick in-house. I just don't see him saying, just because Phillip Rivers says, hey, Saints, give me a call, and Cam Newton needs a job. I mean, I don't think that's – if they needed jobs already, they'd be on the team. So that's the thing, because how much better is Jameis Winston than either one of those guys? So to me, I think they roll with what they have. But obviously Sean Payton, to me, is not going to be content because he knows how important the quarterback position is. And I had no problem writing this yesterday in The Athletic that everything is going to be on the table after this season. I know you're talking immediately, but to me, it's all after the season. I think they explored trying to go trade for Russell Wilson. I think they explored trying to go trade for Aaron Rodgers. I'm leaving Deshaun Watson out of this. I mean, Deshaun did not get traded, and the deadline has passed, obviously, today. But still, immediately, I think they roll with what they have, but they're going to be looking. And I think it's not draft. I think they're looking at big-time veteran.
Look, I'm with you on that, to that end. If you have the opportunity to get Aaron Rodgers or Russell Wilson, you 100% do it. We'll see if they can cross that bridge this offseason. You did mention that the trade deadline came and went today. No big deal for the Saints. I mean, they obviously added Mark Ingram last week. But were you surprised? I mean, did you anticipate that they might make some type of move today?
I thought maybe for a wide receiver. Now, which wide receiver? I don't have a target, but I feel like that would have been on their wish list just because if you see the cast of characters who they're throwing the football to, it's just not optimal. And considering Michael Thomas is still just sitting with a hat and some sweatpants and a shirt on the sideline, you need somebody else. But still, they've made multiple trades already. Look, they traded for Mark Ingram. They traded for Bradley Roby. So they've made moves, but it's not like the Saints at this rate have a ton. They want a deal as far as capital. And so I'm sure they made calls, and yet they would have probably liked a wide receiver, but they don't have one.
He's on Twitter at Larry Holder. You mentioned Michael Thomas. Do you have an update?
I wish I did. I don't. It seems like he should have been back. Like I said, as soon as this injury happened, or when the surgery happened, and when the news came to light, I thought he would be back after the bye week. And it seems like he wants to be 100% healthy when he comes back. But at this point, I'm looking at it as in, when are we ever going to see him again? Because I feel like after this season, the Saints could easily move on from him. But it obviously would help the offense. But look, either quarterback or any quarterback who's actually going to be playing on Sunday, it's not like they've had a ton of work with him anyway. But this is one of the more confounding things I'm sure the Saints and Sean Payton and Mickey Loomis have had to be aware.
So you think, if I asked you today, do you think Michael Thomas has played his last game for the Saints?
No.
Okay.
Because I think he comes back this year. It might be in 2 weeks, but I do think he comes back this year. But do I? If you ask me a question, if this is his last year, I would think that the Saints would like it to be, but it depends on a taker because they're not just going to cut him.
Yeah, Larry, that's just so hard to believe. I mean, as much as they're struggling here, not having a wide receiving option, they do have an out, by the way, after this year in his deal. But it's just so hard for me to imagine, considering their complete dearth of receiving options, they would do away with one of the best receivers in the NFL. Like, they hit a rough patch, obviously, but they got to get through this. I mean, how would you even replace a guy like that?
The draft, free agency, I think that's part of it. It's been like the Saints haven't given up big-time pieces before. Look, they traded away Jimmy Graham. They've traded away Brandon Cooks. They traded away Kenny Stills.
And none of those guys were as good as this guy.
Well, I get it, but how good is this guy at this point now? I don't think we know the answer. Is he as good to be $20 million a year? Probably not at this rate. So the Saints have proven they've proven now and last year, when Michael Thomas has been banged up, they still win games. And I think that's probably the philosophy of the Saints. And if you look back in the heyday, Marcus Colson, 7th-round pick, Lance Moore, undrafted rookie. Look, Robert Meacham was a first-round pick, but obviously he's way down in the totem pole. And Devery Henderson was the second-round pick, but he wasn't great. But look, their best options, they weren't these big, high-price, number one type of receiver kind of guys. So to me, I think that Sean Payton probably looks at it and says, hey, if we got to move on from this guy, we're winning games without him already. Why not move on and maybe get something for him or just be done with the headache?
A couple more. Look at the schedule. With uncertainty at quarterback, how many games do they win this year?
I think they could still go win 10 games.
You went really high pitch there. I think they could win 10 games.
I know. I was kind of squirming.
Kind of pensive.
The fact that I actually said that.
That means they go 5-5 the rest of the way.
They might go even better.
I agree.
Look, Tennessee, they're not going to be the same team as we thought. And they've already beaten the Bucs once. Why not beat them twice? Carolina, to me, was a fluke. You can go probably beat them. And I do think, though, that this is definitely a playoff team. Get them in the playoffs and figure out what happens. I think, to me, though, it just goes to show how good of a coach is Sean Payton and how good of a coaching staff does he have, that he can keep pulling this thing together and winning games. And think back to, 2019? How many quarterbacks has he won games with? I mean, it's 5. It's pretty remarkable.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.